I would really love if a senior manager came down and doing the occupation, but I don't realistically think it's going to happen.
Just on that note, from Schumpeter and view, we're talking about destruction in order to create, right? So that is, at the heart of Schumpeter's creative destruction, isn't it? But there, the concept, though, there's a regulation to it. It doesn't necessarily mean full on. Yeah, it could also mean creating an alternative space, as a term, and creating a culture of change that has some kind of attraction. The we, yeah, that you are who's the we and who isn't the we. That's a matter of segmentation, isn't it? I mean, you can draw those lines. What you want to do is you don't want to make that set those lines yourself, right? You want to create a field of tension, a field of attraction, yeah, and then the attraction, yeah, an energetic field of attraction, if you like, and yeah, that brings into the we that spontaneously helps the we. I just find it quite interesting because for me, I love the idea of let's go and fight, But when I'm honest in my own discourse, I have to say I see some treason in the original idea there.
I just want to ask a question. Actually, I'm from a non-philosophic background, but I was trying to listening to all of you. I was thinking that instead of, why do we have to make this fight, the privilege of just one group? Why not bring everyone together and make it a fight for all? It's not. I don't see it not right, but I don't see it. How to say going in the right direction if the we, as you say, we segmented ourselves and we separated from the everyone because we're all one anyway. There's no point to segregate oneself and say, okay, we're going to fight against the other, because there's no point fighting against the other. You're going to go into the war. It's best to fight together. I think that's how.
But then what are you fighting?
Exactly. If you bring everyone together, there would be no need to fight. You need to bring them together.
Competition.
Absolutely. Sorry. But that's where you need what Peter was objecting to, the critique of consciousness. I'm terribly sorry, but we live in a society that is defined by antagonism, that is defined by exploiters and exploited. And then, we're getting extremely clear illustrations of that in what they're doing at the present time. And therefore, I think it's very important to construct as broad and inclusive as possible. But if we imagine that that's a we that can include management here and their equivalents at the national or international level, we're just kidding ourselves. And therefore, fighting is unavoidable. And of course, there's a problem with the language of winning and so on. And someone earlier was saying, losing can be an experience that has a positive side. That's true. The most important social struggle in Britain in the last generation was the miners' strike that I mentioned a bit earlier on. Now that was defeated terribly. Despite that, it was much better that the miners fought than they didn't. But would it be better if they had won? Of course it would. Even though, they were fighting to save jobs where they were extracting coal with what that means in terms of global warming, even though that would have been saving jobs where they were being exploited and so on and so forth. So the winning would be something very partial and limited. But even so, given where we are, it's really important that we can win, and that even the partial victories that have been won, at King's, I think we're moving towards such a partial victory, not a total one, but at least in my school, we forced back compulsory redundancies and so on. In terms of the confidence that can give future struggles, that's really important.
So, this question about, first of all, the idea that there is an antagonism. you said earlier, well, you know, maybe if everyone could be brought together, then there wouldn't be a fight. Well, turn that around. There is a fight going on which none of us chose, which indicates that objectively people have not been brought together because antagonisms exist. But, like, you know, I think, like, I just wanted to kind of, like, comment on what Isabeau said earlier, like, sort of on two things, this question of allies and this question of the devil. So, like, first of all, like, you know, this question of allies, like, there are various social actors who could potentially be, like, made the allies of this occupation. More broadly, in sort of like Marxist thought, the working class has the capacity to bring other social agencies into an alliance with it, like, you know, poor peasantry or small business people or the urban poor, that kind of thing. And in either of these cases, you know, whether it's Middlesex occupation reaching out to its potential allies elsewhere, security guards, local workers, students around the world, like, you know, that is where, you know, kind of like politics plays a role. You've got to, like, grab people's attention, like win a battle of ideas, and also, like, on the level of offering a program, you know, convince people that things will be better if you win than if you lose. And, you know, that's how both the working class and any group rallies its social allies around it. But the other thing, which is of more immediate importance, is this question of the devil, which, like, so, and like, I think that grabbed me, which is of this element of class struggle, which is really important, which is freaking people out. Because, like, bosses, like, bosses prosecute a class struggle against, like, working class people and other parts of society that they're exploiting. And they do that for economic reasons, and in the final analysis you win if you hurt them in the pocket, if you cause disruption to the economy. But this struggle is played out in real life by real people who can get scared. And, like, one thing that's been very important in a number of recent struggles is, like, the element of bluff, and also the element of making people feel like they're losing control. So during a numerically very small occupation of the London College of Communications, one tactic that was used on a number of occasions is, like, using Facebook to launch, like, a fake occupation, for example. Someone created like a Facebook event for what appeared to be an attempt to occupy another lecture theatre. Got loads and loads of people to say yes. An awful lot of money was spent on extra security for one lecture hall and no one turned up. This would have been very embarrassing and very demoralising to management. The idea, and, like, shortly before the partial victory at Vistine, you know, like, what the workers they were threatening to do was, like, do an extremely audacious piece of direct action, block, like, a major highway, block a major roadway. And in the end, they didn't have to do it, but, like, management just thought, oh, Christ, you know, this is really crazy. You know, like, events are so weird, who would ever block a motorway? So, like, part of it is to do with, like, freaking people out, being audacious, trading in bluff, and prosecuting a psychological war against the real flesh and blood human beings who are attempting to close down this faculty. Like, freaking people out is a very important front of the class struggle.
Yeah, okay, very quick, because I imagine when do you want to wrap this up in fact?
Oh, there's lots of
Okay, on question of inclusion, you know, it's not a contradiction to think in terms of a divisive universality. You know, you can say that everyone has an interest in equality apart from people who profit from inequality. Everyone has an interest in expropriating the expropriators apart from the expropriators. Everyone has an interest in abolishing slavery apart from people who profit from slavery, right? And a mobilization like this, or on, you know, on a grander scale, clarifications of the class struggle and so on, will tend to polarize that issue, and it will clarify who it is that has an interest in the universal and who, to put it in Rousseau's terms, has an interest in the particular. And if you're interested then in pursuing and mobilizing the universal, you must overcome the forces that have an interest in the particular. However you do that, whether it's through, as Rousseau and the Jacobins would say, through a combination of virtue and terror, or through, you know, a combination of discipline and organization and so on. But that you can't get around it by saying, well, wouldn't it be nice if everyone would just get along? I mean, the issue of how to manage that question, how to fight for, how to move from, let's say, a divisive universality to a genuinely inclusive one is one that you have to fight through.
On the point of escalation, Tuesday night we all sat down and we conceptualized what an escalation would be, and this is it. This is our escalation, and tomorrow is our escalation. And after that, we kind of run out of steam on that part. Right.